It wasn't about just doing the business, but serving the business.
And you both know this, but for our listeners out there, the topic is servant leadership. Welcome to the SAID Leadership Academy podcast powered by CreateINterest. This podcast is for those people that are looking to sharpen those leadership, coaching, and management skills, or maybe looking for best practices or extra motivation, or simply just looking for solutions for those opportunities or hard-to-move obstacles. We know that someone out there is looking for one little nugget, one little idea, one inspiration, or maybe even wants to be reminded of something they maybe already knew. With me, as always, is Moises Solis, the man, the myth, the legend.
This is why I love it.
Moises is the founder and CEO of CreateINterest. Moises has served as the chairman of the board of Empresarios Latinos of Houston and mentored at the Wolf Center of Entrepreneurship at the University of Houston. Moises is the author of such innovative books as The SAID Operational Model, Getting on Board the SAID Model, Putting the SAID Model to Work, and Front and Upward Thinking. With over 23 years of experience in sales, learning and development, and management, Moises is a seasoned career coach and skilled trainer. Moises' training and coaching benefit individuals, groups, and businesses, making him a sought-after specialist, a productivity coach, and, my favorite, inspirational speaker.
Yeah. Well, reality is that there's big credentials, but I would have not been able to achieve many of those if it wasn't for this man right here. If it wasn't for this man. Tommy, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful.
Yeah. So before I ask you to introduce yourself, let me just say there's a lot of things that put me in the role that I am, right? And many people to thank. But specifically, there's one person that really showed me how to display the persona who I am. It wasn't about the responsibilities necessarily when I met this man. It was about him showing me the role, which was a big deal. It was really the role into the way that I had to think, the way that I had to look, the way that I had to dress up and act, right, in front of everyone. So there's many things that I need to thank him for. But without that said, tell us a little bit about yourself, Tommy.
Thank you, Moises. You made my life easier, much easier.
Oh, well.
And your credentials, impressive. I'm a little intimidated here.
Oh.
I had the honor of working with both Moises and Scott over a number of years. I was with Enterprise Car Rental for nearly 30 years. I've been an HR professional for about the same time period. Back when I started in HR, it was called Personnel, and that was in the early 90s back in Cleveland. I'm from Louisiana. I traveled all over with Enterprise. I was what they called a frontiersman. My first business cards with Enterprise said 450 locations from coast to coast.
Wow.
Think about that. By the time I retired in, 2017 I retired?
Yeah.
Enterprise in Houston had over 200 locations alone, and our gross sales were near what the whole corporation was when I went to work for Enterprise in 1988.
Wow.
Crazy. Well, I retired, took a year off, then I got really bored. A friend of mine asked if I could come start an HR department at his company at Chamberlain Roofing and Waterproofing. I'm the VP of HR at Chamberlain, and that's where I've been. But a little bit more about what Moises said. I had the luxury of working for the company in Houston when Enterprise bought Vanguard, which is Alamo National Rental Car. And Moises, you can tell what you were with Vanguard. What was your role?
Yeah, I was a regional training and development manager.
And you're based out of?
Houston, Texas.
And we were based out of Houston. So it was pretty neat. I got to go there and we got to meet everybody before the purchase happened. And Moises was one of the first people I met. And the light bulb went off, and I met the guy. I was impressed by him. And he had all that training experience, and here we were taking on a whole new operation. We were a home city rental car company for the most part. If you know who Enterprise is, that means we were in your neighborhoods,
right.
Where Alamo National was at the airports. And Enterprise was very small at the airports at the time. And we bought them to grow our footprint. And here was this guy over a whole territory of the country, and I had him here in Houston. And I was like, Brett Nan was our GM at the time, incredible leader. We'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. And I'm like, we got to have this. Brett and I both said the same thing. We got to have that guy. He's got to come to our team. And so when the transition happened, Moises was definitely one of the people. We took everybody, but he was definitely one of the people we earmarked to stay. We needed him. I mean, airport customers are very different from home city. The whole business is different. He had union
Yeah.
I'd never worked with union before
we had
directly. I was
union.
trained on it with
Yeah.
my certifications,
Yeah.
but I hadn't worked with them. I taught classes on union just so I'd know what it was,
Yeah.
but I hadn't managed it. So
Yeah.
there was a lot of fundamental things that were happening at the airport
Uh-huh.
that we didn't do well at Enterprise at the time, and Moises was instrumental in helping us get those skill sets.
It was a moment of nervousness, right? There was a lot of people scared because at the end,
Very
big
much.
transition, new leadership, but it was an easy transition in so many ways because I think Enterprise brought in this attitude. It's not, and this is really the topic of today. It wasn't about just doing the business, but serving the business, right?
Which brings brings us to the point of today. The topic, and you both know this, but for our listeners out there, the topic is servant leadership.
Yeah.
It's the style of leadership that you and I
Yeah.
talk about every day in the classroom, online, whether we're coaching, whether we're training. Whether you and I are just talking about it first thing in the morning, it is the style that we talk about the most, and it's about building that sustainable leadership foundation that carries you forward, right?
Yeah.
So my first question, and you both, and Tommy especially, I know you have had seen so many different types of managers. So many different managers have been successful and have not been successful. Tell me what your definition of, not the Wikipedia definition, but what you think a servant leader is and what makes them successful.
Well, the definition is hand in hand with what it is. And a servant leader is somebody who focuses on their employees. Their first thought when they're solving a problem, when they're coming to work every day, is what can I do with my employees to make them better? Because you guys teach some great management courses.
Yeah.
And to be successful, once you hit a certain level, you're only as successful with the employees that work for you. So if you come in driving them without supporting them, without caring about them, you're going to lose retention. You're not going to have retention. It's going to be a revolving door.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the performance. Maybe for a short time you'll get the performance, but ultimately it's going to fall off and it's going to crater.
Yeah.
If you go in caring about employees, so servant leadership to me is, I'm here to serve you as your manager.
Yeah.
I have a responsibility to ensure that you're successful in your role. Now, for every person, it's a little different. What motivates Scott is very different from what motivated Moises. And I worked with both of them. But you've got to cater to those values that they have and work around what you may think it is, figure out what it is, and work through those things and motivate them in those ways. So it's constantly focused on your employees. When we took over Vanguard, Moises, you said a few minutes ago, it was a different culture and everybody was scared.
Yeah.
You guys had went through 3, I think, acquisitions.
Yeah.
It was all stock driven.
Yeah.
And we came from Enterprise where, man, the Taylor family owned us.
Yeah.
And a little caveat there as well. When I went to work for Chamberlain, one of the things I interviewed with them, and I interviewed them before I would go there and partner with them, was they had to have the same culture that I started with and I loved with Enterprise at the time when I went to work there.
Yeah.
And that was servant leadership.
Yeah.
We spend every day focused on our employees and how we can give them the things they need professionally and personally to be successful.
Yeah.
Because believe me, if that person goes home and they don't feel like they've had success, that they can bring home and give to their family. That's why we do it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you work how many hours? Think back the days of Enterprise. Scott, what was a typical work week for you?
50 plus hours.
Moises?
Yeah. Same thing.
It was the same thing. 60 plus hours, 70 hours. If we didn't make you feel happy with what you were doing at work, that impact at home makes it very, very tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember in the interview, knowing that I'm interviewing with a servant leader, not knowing what a servant leader was at the time, with Steve, and asking a question, what if I could have any profession in the world, what would it be? And I said, well, I want to be in sales. I want to be in service because that's what I was interviewing for. Yeah. And Steve goes, man, I want to be a professional baseball player. Yeah. And I just, for some reason, that stuck with me. I'm like, this guy's getting to know me on a personal level, right? And then Todd was the next interview. Same thing, servant leader to its core, getting to know me personally, getting to know me within that interview, and showing me his servant leadership skills just in an interview.
The big difference when I met you was that you really cared, and again, that was our breed, right? But now I feel part of that breed. But at that moment, it was about the employee. It was truly about the employee. Yeah. And then when I heard, right, it was the employee and the customer first, right? And it brings it home because most of us do have that type of mentality, right, of caring for others and wanting others to do well. But it comes alive when everyone around you feels the same way.
You remember the saying? Take care of your customers, take care of your employees, and growth and profits will follow. where I work now, it's the same philosophy.
Right.
It's fantastic. And the core of that is without customers, you don't need employees, right?
Yeah.
So you got to take care of your customers, so you need employees.
Right.
And then
Growth
the rest
and
falls
profit
into
will
place.
follow. Yep.
It falls into place. Now, something that I got to clarify, though.
Yeah.
Under the servant leadership model, it doesn't mean that you're a marshmallow.
Oh.
It doesn't mean that you're a pushover.
Yeah.
It means that you focus on the right stuff for what you have to do in your business role, but for the employee. And that means you're going to have to push them, because inherently people want to be pushed to be successful. They think they know what it is. Scott, you said earlier, man, you thought sales and all the things that you're going to do. I want to be a sales guy. But sales got you to the management role and then to the level 3 role where you're running a whole division of the company. It got you there, but managing made you successful.
Yeah.
And you had to push your employees to be successful. Accountability is a big part of that.
Right. We talk about the difference between coaching and leadership, and we have our own definition where coaching is taking employees. Where does it, Moises?
Yeah, so coaching, right? You take someone from where they are to where they want to be. They got to want it. You can't take them unless they don't want to, right? But let me tell you, our philosophy overall, it was just great to be involved in, again, and that's why I believe culture is such a big thing, right? When you're here to serve, you create that culture around you, right? We are here to serve.
Yeah.
It's not... And it's different, right? We're not here to sell or service. We're here to serve. There's a profound, right, definition about that, right? Because no matter what, and those were the 3 questions that, is there anything that I could do to make it better?
Yeah.
Wasn't it? What was it?
Yeah.
The 3. It was the 3 questions, power questions, right?
How is the service?
How is your service?
How could we improve our service? How can we make
And
how can we make it better?
And how can we make it better? And that was because I would always tell as I'm training people, right?
3 critical questions.
What would happen if they say, well, I want it free? What would you answer? Because you literally laid it out. And the reality is
You got to do what they say.
you got to do what they say, right? If it's free, well, it's free.
Yeah.
Right?
Give it away.
Give it away. But that is the definition of serving. We are here to serve you and make sure that what we promised, we deliver.
So in terms of servant leadership, you walk into somewhere, maybe it's a restaurant or another business. What are the things that you immediately see in a leader and say, oh, that's a servant leader?
That's a great question. There's a restaurant I go to out in Katy, where I live, and I watch the manager, and you can tell the manager. You walk in, he's got a smile on his face, not just to you, to his employees.
Yeah.
He walks over to his employees. I've seen him on multiple occasions, male, female, didn't matter, giving hugs to his employees when they walked in. They would go up to him and give him a hug.
Right.
And you would watch with the energy that he created by that environment.
Yeah.
And everybody in there, whether it was the bartender or the server or the cooks, and he's behind the thing talking to the cooks, you could see it. You came from the restaurant business.
Yeah.
And when you watch what he does, where my mind is, I'm watching that kind of stuff all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
And I'm seeing what he does, and it makes me smile.
Yeah.
As a customer, you feel it.
He gets it.
We've talked about Chick-fil-A before, and the philosophies there.
Yeah.
It's the same thing they teach from the
Yeah.
the person when they hire them,
Yeah.
and then on. Now, with that in mind, servant leader, I always say, I want to tell you guys something, a little secret. Moises, you're a great example. Scott, you're a great example. Hire hard.
Yeah.
Make sure you hire the right people.
Yeah.
100%.
And we talk about the seat on the bus. Make sure you put the people in the right seat on the bus as well. Hire the right person for the role, because they have the competencies, which are the abilities, or they don't.
Yeah. We say when in doubt, live without.
We
Yes.
live without.
Yeah.
That's why I say, hey, what you see is what you're going to get.
Right.
Meaning,
Yeah.
hey,
This is the best. When
Yeah.
you interview somebody, that's the best.
yeah, what you
they
see is
could
what you're going to
possibly
get.
give you.
You can't make it up. It is right. So then hiring, I believe that's the case, right? To form a great organization, a great culture, you start with the people, and you start at hiring. You recruit the right people. But once you get them in, then you set the expectations, right? It's all expectations at that moment.
I think it brings me back. So I was Fondard and Westheimer branch manager. Steve was my area manager, and everybody was winning awards, winning trophies. We were killing it. We were crushing it. But the culture, as far as did they love working for me? Did they love their job at the end of the day? No, they were looking for other jobs. I lost 3 people that quit and went to other companies.
What a wake-up call, isn't it?
And I'm like, wait a minute, you were making money, you were winning awards, like what? And Steve came and he's like, look, is management something you want to do? Is do you want to be a leader? I was like, yes, I feel like I'm meant to do it. He was like, well, they have to love working for you. They have to love that when they get promoted, when you get them promoted, when they perform, and they have to give a thank you speech, do they mention Scott as the reason that they're performing? And thank you, I thank God I work for Scott because he helped me XYZ. You know, are you doing that? It's not about being their friend. It's not about being their buddy. When they go home and talk to Cedric, when Cedric goes home and talks to his wife,
right,
and says, "Man, I'm so lucky I work for Scott. It's awesome." That's when, and at the time, not having identified servant leadership at that time, and knowing that's what he was explaining to me.
Yeah, that's well said. Well said.
It's interesting. A lot of the topics we have today that weren't said at the time. It's evolved. Now they identify.
Now there's names to it.
Yeah, there's names to it.
You know,
being in HR as long as I see it all the time.
This is why I love doing this, because though people might say, I know that, but many people will rediscover it.
Yeah.
Think about it, because I rediscover it every day. There's certain things that he'll remind me of, oh my God, right? So I tend to rediscover it and evolve into it. At some point, you don't think about it anymore, but then again, people will remind you of what, the basics of what makes a great leader.
So that leads me to my next question. What do you think is challenging about being a servant leader? Like, what is hard about being a servant leader today?
It's just like I always talk about HR and management. It's like raising children, right? Mm-hmm. You want to make sure your kid never falls. They never get hurt. They don't make bad decisions. But we learn those ways. That's how we learn how to walk. That's how we learn how to ride a bicycle, by crashing. So the toughest thing about being a servant leader is that you do care. You should. To be a successful servant leader, you truly have to care about your people. And when you see them doing something that may not be exactly how you would do it, sometimes you got to let them experience it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you got to let them deal with an angry customer and walk away when you want to walk in and take care of it for them. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they have to work the extra hours because maybe they goofed off a little bit. They didn't do what they're supposed to do.
Right.
And you told them, hey, listen, here's what you need to do. This is how you manage your day.
Yeah.
And they really didn't listen. So, okay, that's on you, Johnny. Mm-hmm. Go figure it out. You got to let them fall a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, be there to pick them up, brush them off, and point them in the right direction. Make them feel good about it if you can, or make them own it.
Yeah.
The best thing is make them own it.
Yeah.
That's how you learn.
Yeah.
I think a biggest challenge that we see a lot comes down to time management. Where does that leader spend most of their time? And they get caught up in the business aspect of things and having calls and meetings from higher ups. And then people leave or don't like working or don't perform. And then we ask them, well, when's the last time you had a one-on-one with them? When's the last time you had a team meeting?
Very seldom.
When's the last time you recognized them for great performance?
You have to plan, and you have to put stuff on the calendar, and you have to be scheduled.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, you said it
Doesn't
a second ago,
happen.
Moises.
Yeah.
You'll lose focus of it. You'll forget, and somebody has to. That's why we're doing this. Maybe somebody gets reminded of what made them successful, and they've kind of walked away from it because they stopped the regiment. We have to be regimented as leaders, leaders, or else you will lose focus on the things you have to do to continue that process.
And you said put it on the calendar.
Scheduling it. I think scheduling is
that's what I've learned more than
the
anything.
most important.
Is it's on the calendar.
How many calendars do you have now, Scott? I'm not lying. I've got calendars all over the place.
I got the kids calendar.
Yes.
I've got the wife calendar.
And those are as important as the Outlook calendar at work. Add those to the
That's
Outlook
how my
calendar.
wife and I schedule date nights is Outlook. Like she'll send me an Outlook
Some people may
for a
think
date.
that's the weirdest thing in the world to schedule a date night.
So
I got to tell you, servant leadership, you better do it with your spouse as well, or you're going to have problems.
Yeah. Right. Yep. From speaking of my wife, I mean, if there's anything she's taught me, is staying regiment to the calendar, but putting the employees first, right? It's like that's the one appointment that you never move.
Yeah.
Like, so you get a call from her boss to move something around, and it's like the one thing she will not move is a one-on-one because she knows that she holds her people accountable to come to that one-on-one with their own agenda.
Yeah.
Because it's about them. It's not about her agenda for that meeting. It's about that person and giving them the aspect that they have to look forward to that one-on-one. Like, hey, I look forward to talking to her.
Well, another thing, Scott, and there are situations when you're a leader, especially at you guys' levels, in my level that we've been at, right? There are times you have to move it, but you better make it a priority to reschedule it, and you let them know.
Yeah.
If you care about them, hey, listen, Scott, you know what? Something came up. I'm sorry, I can't immedently.
Yeah.
We can't meet today. I looked at your calendar. You have a spot open right now on this. Can you meet then?
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning, first thing.
Yeah.
Scott's like, that works better for me because I got something else going on.
Yeah.
So, but make sure they're a priority.
Yeah.
No matter what it is.
And when they're in on things and they understand that they're a priority, that's the behavior you want, right? I often say it was a gentleman by the name of Tommy Mace who would always say. Again, he was always at the top of his game. I was not. But I would always wonder, why is he on top of his game? And well, one of the things is that he scheduled the one-on-ones, right? And what happened? When people knew that he was coming, they were working, and because they want to impress him, They wanted to impress Tommy Mace. And so when Tommy Mace showed up, sure enough, they got to impress him. And what did Tommy Mace do? Gave him vitamin R, right? Recognition for a job well done. It was the moment where they were seeking that moment.
Let me tell you what a person that's not a servant leader will do. I'm going to catch them. Yeah. I'm going to show up when they don't expect me. Yeah. I'm going to find out the real them. You might. You might find out something you don't want to find out. If you let them know, you see the best of them.
Absolutely.
I always say this as well. Go back to hiring. It never gets better than an interview. It never gets. So it's the same thing. When you show up, you're going to see the best of them.
And there's something that we say. Do you remember this? And I coined this phrase. Don't be a fly-by manager. Remember that?
That's right.
So we say, don't be a fly-by manager.
Not that we ever had any of those.
Just fly by, have a one-on-one real quick. You know, I'd show up as an area manager and say, hey, did you have your one-on-one with Johnny? It's like, oh, I just had it a couple minutes ago. And I go and ask Johnny, he's like, oh, did you have a one-on-one? He's like, what are you talking about? I mean, he just came and talked to me about something a second ago. What are you talking about?
Coming by, right?
Yeah. So it's don't be a fly-by manager. You cannot serve when you just fly by, right? You're not putting them first. You're putting them second, third, or last.
There are no surprises. It goes back to management time. Right?
Their employees are your customers.
There are no surprises. Customers. You give them the opportunity to shine. That's really what right a servant leader does.
Yes.
Now, within those, obviously, that doesn't mean it's a freebie. Right. You give them the chance. You give them the chance to be at their very best. Right. Show me the best version of yourself. That's what you're really saying. So now, if they don't, then again, there's accountability measures because reality is that no one's perfect. Some need a little kick in the butt.
I think to your point, holding people accountable is not about firing them, right? It's about guiding them down the path of what's best for them.
It's a learning moment
by holding them accountable. And we talk about non-negotiables a lot. Like, hey, these are the non-negotiables. If you do these things, you will be successful. And I'm having these one-on-ones, and we're doing these things together to serve you and to help you find success.
You know, I got to always explain this to people. And I used to do this presentation. You may remember the cycle of employment, right? I canned it. I ran out the entire corporation of enterprise at one point in time. And there's a component in there about progressive discipline. And I always have managers saying, "Oh, let's document so we can fire somebody." I've had a manager say that to me before. And whenever I hear that, man, it makes me go into a little bit of shock. You guys know this about me, right? We never ever do that for that reason. The reason why we do it is just the opposite. We want to correct the behavior. And that's being a servant leader. If I can't sit down with Moises, or Moises can't sit down with Tommy and say, "Hey, Tommy, you know you're doing. We coached you. We've done everything for you. We've done these things." And once again, back to what you talk about a lot, the right seat on the bus. Maybe because you know me and you got to know me, you know this. I'm on the wrong seat on the bus, so let's go there. Let's put you in the right role. But when you're doing that with me, you're doing it to correct the behavior, and I've got to know that there's consequences for not correcting that behavior, and I've also got to know you got my back. So if you just give it to me, you walk away. That's your problem, not mine. That's not a servant leader.
And in my restaurant days, they actually changed it to coaching form. That was what it was called. So when I sat down with an employee to document. It was about what's the expectation for their behavior, what went wrong, how are we going to fix it, and when am I going to follow up? It was just a coaching form. And that's what it said, bright, big, because before that, I think it said write up. And now,
well, at some point you might get, just as an HR legal perspective, you want to have the document that says it's a final written warning. You have to have that. And as an employee, if you get it, understand they're not doing that. The good companies and the good leadership's not doing that to fire you. Just the opposite. They're doing it to save you, because otherwise they just fire you.
So that brings up progressive discipline. But let's go back to what type of activities are happening for a servant leader. So if they are a servant leader, what are those things they must do?
You said it, Scott. The coaching form. You addressed it as part of a progressive discipline, but I look at that totally separate. You got the hire. You set the expectations. You let them know what they're expected to do. And then you give them the tools to do it. You teach them how to use those tools to be successful. And then you coach them along the way you tweak their behavior and the way they use the tools to be successful. And then when they're not, you continue to engage them. So the steps are make sure that they understand the expectation, first of all. You talk about this a lot, Moises. And make sure they know how to reach that expectation and what you're providing to help them reach that expectation. Whether you need more training, whatever it is. And then you continually coach them and train them to get there. And that's your focal point. As a servant leader, your focal point is what do they need to be as successful as they can be. Because like we talk about, once you get to a certain level in a company and in a management level, you have very little bearing on your success. Everybody else has the bearing on your success.
Yep.
And who do you give the recognition to as part of that process?
Yeah.
Do you say, hey, I did it. Look at what I did today when you go in front of leaders. Did you? Did you really?
Yeah.
No, you didn't. Moises did it.
Look
Scott
what they
did it.
did.
Yeah.
Yes, they did. You will get the credit because of what they did, because you're leading. It's what you said earlier, Scott. Well, they say, man, thank you so much. Moises, you were the inspiration to me. You helped me get to this role.
Yeah.
Or they say, I did this, I did this, I did this.
Right.
Are you teaching as well? Are they learning something from you
Yeah.
through your behavior?
Yeah, I always say the leader marks the destination, right? Not necessarily the fine tuning, but the destination. If I'm getting on the bus, I want the leader to say, "This is where we're heading. This is our destination," and then the expectation is we're going to get there, and we need your help, right? We need your help, so help us get there.
And I think it made me think of too, and we spent a lot of time with this, that showing organizations should show their servant leadership side really in the interview.
Yeah.
And then when they onboard that employee, not wait until they join the team to begin that process, right?
Yeah.
Immediately identifying, here's your role, here's your responsibilities,
Yeah.
this is what we expect
Yeah.
of you, this is how you can earn a promotion, this
Yeah.
is your career path. Before they even step foot on their first day on the job,
Yeah.
is doing. And we find that so
Yeah.
much where they don't,
Yeah.
where they're like, "What am I supposed to do again? Where do I go?
Yeah.
And what?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I'm supposed."
Yeah.
They don't know.
Yeah, they don't know.
And that's that opportunity to say, look, we're going to
Yeah.
serve you as an employee
Yeah,
of this
and then
organization.
comes the feedback. You said it, right? There's a portion that after training, after I give you the task, then they go out and do it, right? And they expect to be recognized for the effort. Leaders fail when they don't recognize the effort.
100%.
You know, so the leader must come back and say, "Great job, and this is how you can make it better," right? But without that, then the employee says, "Well, no one cares."
Yeah.
Who cares then?
So
Who cares?
last question, and then we're going to move to our first segment. How do you train servant leadership? So
good question.
you want to go train somebody to be a servant leader?
Yeah, Scott, let's go back to hiring as well.
Okay.
Promoting. I will tell you, there are people that can get this. There's people that just will never be a servant leader. So watch the roles you put people in. If you know somebody doesn't have that ability, doesn't have that competency, you probably don't want to make them a manager.
Yep.
Let them be an expert at something, and you will know it very quickly. If you do put them in a managerial, where they manage a function, have some other people in the process that are part of managing a regional
very
situation like Enterprise was.
Yeah.
If you're going to put them in a region to do something, or
Yeah.
you're going to put them over the regional operation, whatever that function might be, make sure they're interacting with their RVP, and that's it, whoever the local leadership team is that will do the things you're talking about in that segment and where they're working, or that division where they're working, because everybody needs that.
Yeah.
So first of all, you have to identify if they have the competency, Scott, and then you nurture it, and then you develop it, and then you give the feedback and the coaching like you do to your other employees to your managers that are working for you if you want to develop that.
Yeah. That's how you start. It's culture, right? And from a basic sense, it takes one person to be a good model, right, and a good mentor. And then it goes from 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6.
And I'll add this one
Go like
thing,
that,
and is
right.
what made me think of this question as well, is not just hire the right person that has those core competencies, but building the bench of who's going to take over that
succession planning
person,
is
Yeah.
right?
always
Is
the thing.
building that
Yeah.
people hire for that job and not for the future role. Having that career path.
I
and building
love
that
the way
bench.
you used to say it, right? Find me your replacement.
Yes.
Because, again, if you truly understand it, if I do well, someone's going to replace me. Why? Because I'm gonna go to the next level.
You know, one of the neatest things when I came to work for Chamberlain, it's a construction company, and it's phenomenal. Our CEO, talking about servant leadership, we bring people out to his ranch. We cook for them. He caters to them. And that's a big example of servant leadership. And his whole role there is they don't do anything. We take care of everything for them.
Yeah.
And we'll bring 7 guys at a time, 8 guys at a time, and do that for them.
Yeah.
And he's wired that way, and that's a culture that he came from. That's what he's created. Our founder, John Kafka, did the same thing. So it's really a neat environment. Having that understanding, and when I came to Chamberlain, there was not that environment, right?
Right.
It was just because it wasn't. Nobody had done what I did. They didn't have HR before. But once we taught the people would not train you on how to do waterproofing or
Right.
roofing
Right.
because they were scared you're going to take their job.
Yeah.
When all of a sudden we said, train your replacement if you want to become a foreman.
Yeah.
And our training department, our Chamberlain University, and all those things echoed that.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden leadership started doing it, and they started seeing that guy got promoted. How did he get promoted?
Exactly.
He trained
Yeah.
Scott how to promote him.
We
You know,
always
how
say you got to
replace
have
him.
that carrot, right? You got to have that carrot.
That's serving.
And now
Yeah.
it's the culture.
That
Now, our
is-
retention went from, in construction, can be really, really low. I mean, these guys, workflow does like this, employees go when it drops. Chamberlain, I can remember having a conversation with a leader, and I said, when I first got there, what do you think our retention is when I did our first retention report? Negative. And not because they treat employees very, very well,
Sure.
but that was kind of the thought. Guess what it is right
Yeah.
now for our field guys, for field guys?
What?
It's over 60%.
Wow.
That's unheard of.
Wow.
Even with fluctuations in our
yeah.
workflow and stuff at times.
Truly
It's,
remarkable.
Yeah, it's because that's the culture now.
Yeah. We serve.
Yes.
We
All
serve.
right, that leads me to our first segment of today. Tommy, you're new to the show. We have
I am
3
very.
segments. First one
not
is
singing.
called The Smackdown.
Oh, look at Scott.
So it's
Oh,
just an opportunity for us to compare 2 things, this versus that. It's not Moises versus Scott necessarily, but it's 2 terms. So what's our topic for today is servant leadership. So what is the difference between servant leadership and traditional leadership?
Well, let me just say, traditional, right? People look for the power, right? In traditional leadership, it's about the power that I have for a group of individuals, right? It's the power. Servant leadership, on the other hand, is, yeah, of course I got the power, but I got the power to serve others, right? So that others get ahead, right? And so that what that means is we all going to win, right? But it's the power of others, it's not mine.
That's good.
That's good?
It's not about you having the power. It's about spreading the love.
Yeah, that kind of says it. a
Simple
lot,
as
right?
that?
Simple
I think
as that.
so. I think so.
I think so.
All right, our next segment is called The Hard Facts. Was that a good voice?
Yeah, it's always a good voice, Scott. You're doing very
So I'm going to give
impressed.
you guys some research statistics, most of it based on leadership, servant leadership management, and you give me your response, okay? You ready?
He's a numbers guy, so yeah.
He is a numbers guy. That's why I have to hide this. I don't want him to see the paper. All right. According to a recent survey, this is for you, 90% of HR leaders believe that to thrive in the modern workplace, leaders must prioritize the human elements of leadership.
I'd say that's yes.
Yeah? So tell me more.
Look at everything you see online. You see in the news. You see everything. It's about human. It's all about. It's very. I'll give you an example. I got a daughter. I grew up in a generation where it said sticks and stones may break my bones and words will never hurt me.
Right.
Go deal with it. She grew up in an environment now where you don't take mental health
Yeah.
serious enough because you say sticks and stones.
Yeah.
And me owning and understanding that as an HR leader is very important. So the human element of it
Right.
and the mental element of it is a big part of our society today.
Yeah.
If you're not addressing those issues, you're going to have problems.
We go
Well
and talk to
said.
a lot of people to that point, and we'll talk to employees and we'll say, "What do you like working for so and so? Do you like them as your leader?" And more often than not, the first thing that comes out is, they're so real. They're real, man. They keep it real. They tell me exactly how it is. They don't sugarcoat. They're not fake. They're real.
It's YouTube. It's YouTube. It's Snapchat. It's all the other things. It's right
TikTok,
now, right, and
yeah.
that's real, right?
Yeah.
If they see somebody being real,
Yeah.
that means.
And those are the people that make more of an impact in your life. Because when you look back, you're like,
Yeah.
man,
You remember those
I
people,
respect him
100%.
because he made me see what I didn't see, right?
We
You
always talk
respect
a lot
that.
about in our leadership training,
Yeah.
right? That we do is, hey, tell me one person that you followed, right? That made an impact on you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's my father, sometimes it's a boss, but it's more not necessarily they told you exactly what you needed to
You know
hear.
what's interesting
not
about
what
this
you
guy?
wanted
When I was 14 years old, I had my first job. And Ray Email, he owned a chain of motor supply stores. He hired me. And I can remember to this day, like it was yesterday, he taught me a lesson. He said, "You're going to be successful one of these days, boy. You need to learn how to shake a hand." And he literally taught, because I shook his hand, I did the whole cold fish thing.
Right,
And he
right.
really pulled me in and showed me how to shake somebody's hand. That was I remember it like it was yesterday.
And that's-
But I also thought, you're going to be a professional someday, he told me. And I said, guess what? He planted the seed.
Yeah.
So anyway, they
And
can have an
I
impact.
remember
That's awesome.
Moises when he shakes he goes at it like this. His
He
whole
does.
hand is open.
He's always done that.
And
You see it coming
and I
in.
learned from it, so now I shake hands, and I'm like, I got to get my whole hand out there.
Yep.
All right, next statistic. 79% of employees will resign if they don't feel appreciated by their superiors.
Well, my always say, right? When you ask them, they quit the boss. They don't quit the organization.
That's right.
We always say that, right?
Right.
You don't quit the company, you quit your boss.
Yeah, and lack of appreciation.
Yep.
They don't really care for me. I don't feel in on things. I don't feel part of the team, whatever it is.
And I think one thing that we had mentioned in previous podcasts and other conversations is making sure that leader, that servant leader, is a part of the hiring process.
Yeah.
Making sure they're bought in on that employee and they're a part of that, and they own and have ownership over that person, right?
Yes.
That's what you say.
Next statistic, 63% of companies in the U.S. cite leadership as the primary reason for poor retention.
Yes. That's it. It's factual. It's what Wesley just said. You know, when you have poor leadership, and it's typically, right, it's the first level of management over you, the person you deal with every day. But if the employees see, it goes back to that emotional equation that we were talking about a few minutes ago. If they see poor leadership to that person, they're always aspiring. Most people, especially if it's a career, a job may be a little bit different. If they see negative impact from the person above that manager, who they may, hopefully they really like if they're staying there, ultimately it's going to help them make their decision not to stay there. It's going to make their job not so enjoyable.
Yeah.
Final question. I love it. Final. I've got a bunch here, but I'm going to jump to the final one. 11% of HR leaders believe they have a strong leadership bench.
11%?
11%.
That means really low.
That's low.
That's really low. I would hope it'd be higher, but I'm assuming if you have that
That's
statistic
staggering,
that's
right?
what you're
This is
hearing.
a recent
Yeah,
2024
yeah.
statistic. 11% of the HR leaders that were surveyed here believe that a strong bench.
Well, hopefully they're being overly critical, and hopefully they have a plan to address that.
Right.
I would, you know, I've been fortunate enough to work for companies like where we worked before and where I work now, where you're always developing the bench.
Yeah.
So if that's factual, they need you guys to go out there and help them address these issues.
That's right.
If you're listening to this podcast and you feel that way, make sure you make a phone call.
When we visit those organizations, we were with one the other day,
Yeah.
that there was no pathway for new employees. They were hired as a cook. They're going to be a cook. There is no leadership opportunity.
Yeah.
So you can't build a bench without the career path.
You know what's interesting? One of the first things I did when I came to work at Chamberlain, where I am now, we got together with leadership and we talked about, the first thing I did was the positions we had. We called guys that worked in the field mechanics and laborers. And it didn't represent what they did. These were people that were experts at what they did. Commercial waterproofing and roofing, they're tough guys, they're good guys, they're technical guys, and they have to be great at what they do. So I did some surveying, and I surveyed, my daughter was in high school at the time. I surveyed some of her classmates that were at my house all the time about if you didn't go to college and you came to work for me, what titles would you be proud to tell your friends you were doing? So we changed the titles. Now we have Technician 1, Technician 2, Senior Tech, Craftsman, Foreman, Senior Foreman. And it made such a huge impact on like what you're talking about right now.
Yeah.
So we work we work with a speech improvement center based out of California that he was struggling with retention and had 7 or 8 speech therapy locations for children. And he's like, I'm trying to retain people. And the immediate question was, they're hired on as a speech therapist. What's their career path? And there was just a blank, cold stare back at us. Yeah. Career path? What are you talking about? And so we helped establish that when they're hired on board, that there's opportunity to earn a senior status as a therapist. There's opportunity to run your own location. There's opportunity to run 5 or 6 locations, similar to the enterprise model, right? Yeah. So having that career path helps you build the bench of future leaders. And what we told him, the owner of the organization, was find your replacement.
Well, Scott, I got to ask you a question now, a statistical question.
Okay.
What percentage of the companies out there do not have a desire to grow and be more profitable and more successful? You would hope it's 0, right?
I hope it's 0%.
You hope it's 0. So what's the fundamental
through
equation?
experience, it's shocking because they find it stressful and they lack the tools. A lot of times we find business owners found the niche. Yeah. They found something, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's construction, whatever it is, they found this niche and they're successful because there's a demand for it, but they've never worked for an enterprise. Yeah. They don't have experience in any of this, training and development, leadership, anything, and now they've found this opportunity, and now they need help.
Yeah.
With that being said, we're on to our last segment, and I like to call it the Moises Minute.
Yeah.
Or From the Top.
Good job, That's Scott. That's Scott.
That is it. All I have to say, servant leadership is what you said, right? It's mundane to say, hey, it's about serving, but we serve with a purpose. It is about the purpose of where, as a team, we want to go. It's not an individual power. It's really a team effort. And as a purpose is we are here to either win or lose, but we win or lose together, right? We serve. So that leader serves for a purpose. And that is to win, obviously, but no one is left behind, right? We are here to serve everyone, right? With the right measurements around us, we're committed, we're accountable, and we make that happen. So at the end of the day, serving is about reaching the destination, but not as an individual, but as a team. That's what I say.
With that being said, Moises, let's give Tommy Hernandez a round of applause. Thank you, sir.
Back at you.
Thank you, sir, for our first guest on the show. For those listening, those watching, thank you for choosing SADE Leadership Academy podcast, powered by CreateINterest, where we train and you win.
Thank you, Tommy. You're great.
Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
You're the best.
You're awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Warning. The following podcast is a powerful catalyst for a transformational experience filled with actionable advice, practical guidance, and fresh perspectives. Listening to this podcast may ignite a whirlwind of inspiration, revolutionize your approach to leadership, and empower you to drive meaningful change. Proceed with an open heart and mind, and get ready to unlock your true leadership potential. This program has been rigorously tested and approved by professional learning and development audiences. Side effects may include an unstoppable drive for success, heightened leadership acumen, and the unstoppable momentum to excel as a learner and evolve as a leader. Business owner discretion is advised.